Alright guys, welcome back. We're going to look at learning target number 1, which is going to be where we can summarize the key events that happened between world wars. You do not need to keep each box, but we're going to sort of work on it from here. We're going to look at the rise of fascism, which the essential question is, how would rational citizens allow the rise of a totalitarian government in their own country? And how did the effects of the Great Depression influence the rise of fascism in Italy? So you need to remember these two questions as we go through and we look throughout the PowerPoint. Accessing power knowledge was yesterday. If you looked at the PowerPoint, you really figured out what a totalitarian government is, and you should be able to list the tools and the characteristics of a totalitarian government and some of the ideas and what they will change as far as the way you control things. Analyzing the picture, we'll be able to take a look at it, and you'll be able to see where people are going to start fighting for themselves with this type of situation. Europe is in ruins. Remember, we've talked about how World War I happened in there. Germany had no way to make money. Everything was blown up. They had to make payment checks back. Nothing has happened. So you have the Dawes Plan. The Dawes Plan, that's your key word right here. The U.S. loaned $200 million a year to Germany to help make war payments to boost the economy. Germany and Europe started seeing improvements. So things started getting better, but then the Great Depression happens and economic problems once again happens with the Smoot-Hawley tariff. As you guys saw in the previous one, because due to this terrorist act, the whole depression was spread worldwide. The financial system that you saw under the Dawes Plan and Young Plans is where everybody, U.S. gave money to Germany, Germany gave money to the Allies, and the Allies gave back money to the U.S. So we're sort of a triangle form right there, because you know how things go around, so it's trying to show you circulation flow of money as well. In Italy, after the war, Italian nationalists were angry about the treaty because they didn't gain any land. They were promised stuff, but they lost land, actually, which happens. The Russian Revolution happens. There's revolutions always happening, so these guys were upset. The peasants are going to seize land. They're going to go strike. Veterans didn't have jobs. This happens a lot more often than not because somebody else takes their jobs when they're gone. Trade decline. Taxes are going to rise. Inflation's high. This is never good. So they couldn't deal with everything because there was too many different ideas about the situation. So they wanted a type of unity that they couldn't get from anywhere else. If you ever talk to somebody in Italy, my famous story is go talk to Tony from Da Vinci's. Everything about Italy, these guys have a very strong culture. Extreme nationalism. They think that everything revolves around Italy. You're loyal to it. The reason we have America is because of Italy. This is what these guys will tell us. They're also militaristic. They like military. They like going into war. They like the violence, and they like the order that it brings to them. It appeals to other classes because they want to make sure that each class has its place. They want to make sure that it is in order. They don't like the chaos that was ensuing. They didn't like communism because upper class feared that they took place and they would lose their property and their income, and they were not having it. Benito Mussolini was a newspaper editor and a politician, so he knew how to talk to the people. This is key because he is a great orator. He got really good skills, so he organizes the Fascist Party in 1919. He promises to improve the economy, rebuild the army, strong leadership, stable government, return to the national pride, and end the political feuding. You're also going to see the ability for him to go off and run around. The fascists were a bundle of stick tied around the axe, and this is the symbol of authority for Mussolini. He organized a black shirt. It's a private combat squad, so they were loyal only to him. They used violent actions and intimidation. If you're going to stand up, he had the black shirts take care of it. 1922, he marches to Rome, creates civil unrest, and sort of says, hey, look, things aren't right, so things aren't going well. He's a great orator. He's a great speaker. He's a great person who sits there and brings the people to him, so the king is going to appoint him prime minister, and then he's going to begin his dictatorship. Economic, political, and social policies, you're going to see them right there. Corporate state, totalitarian government. He censored the press because he knew what the press was there for. He knew how to use the press, so he also used propaganda. He began anti-democratic, socialist, and communist policies. Basically, he wanted things his way or no way. He prohibits other political parties. He wants to control everything. He's going to rig the elections so the people he wants to get in charge will. Encourages the battle of motherhood, where women who had more than 14 kids received a medal. Children were taught strict military discipline and glory of ancient Rome. In other words, he's going back, and he's also trying to create a heavy population so that they can continue on with greatness. So, and Hitler's going to come around, and Hitler's going to look at it and say, how do the effects of the Great Depression influence the rise of Nazism in Germany? We all know that Germany has already got the short end of the situation with the Treaty of Versailles. So Hitler's going to come around and start playing on people's fears, and that sliver of truth that Germany did not get sort of the right way with the Treaty of Versailles. So somewhat happens. So things weren't exactly the best. Republican government formed after the Kaiser abdicates, but they don't blame it. They don't like it because they accepted the Treaty of Versailles. Germany, the people didn't want to have to do it because they weren't the ones that started the war, even though they're the big political and dominant military powerhouse. They faced economic depression as they could not pay for reparations, and France was occupied. They forced to print money, which caused high inflation. They just kept on printing money, even though they knew that they didn't have the money. They would print more money, and eventually that piece of paper became worthless. Money's only worth what we're able to give to it. Depression hits and loan stops. Banks, businesses, and factories are going to close. Their money wasn't worth anything. It wasn't even worth the paper it was printed on at the time period. People got scared, and they were willing to listen to extremist groups because they didn't have anybody else to listen to. When you don't have food, you're not happy, and you're going to listen to somebody who might be able to find out a way to sit there and ease your situation, even if you don't agree with it. So you're literally going to be able to see people pay for piles of money for pieces of bread. I remember seeing a show where there was a guy brought a tractor in full of money just to pay for bread and milk one time. This is not worth the money paper is printed on. Hitler's going to come around. He's always been a soldier. He goes to jail. And by doing so, he's going to write Mein Kampf. He becomes leader of the Nazi Party in 1919, and he organized the SS. This is the stormtroopers to fight his enemies, his own private militia. Mein Kampf means my struggle. He writes at his jails, and he sits there and talks about how Nazism, what's their goals, what's their aspects of it, that they are a master race of Aryans, blonde-haired, blue-eyed guys, and that white people are reduced to. Workers and businesses supported this because everybody had a struggle, so he sort of struck a chord with all of this, but people sort of bought into his idealism at the time period. He and his political party seek to gain power legally after prison term, and the government wanted to use him to gain support of the people because of the fact that he did write a book that people enjoyed. So he was appointed chancellor. As soon as this happened, he suspends civil liberties, rid Germany of other political parties unless you're part of the Nazi Party, because it gives him more power, and he holds elections to put his party in power. The Reichstag fire blamed on communists, and he created fear because people only voted for his party because they were too scared to vote for anybody else. So when he became voted in, it was mainly because of the strength of groups such as the SS. He calls himself the Third Reich. This is an empire. The first two right there, what you're going to see, the Holy Roman Empire is the First Reich. Empire under Bismarck was the Second Reich, and the empire under Hitler is what he calls the Third Reich. And this is where they get their name, and because he's sort of going through with the Roman Empire. They're using the old history to build upon where they're going. So he vowed to rebuild the new German Empire because of the strength that Germany's always had. He also creates a totalitarian state using terror and the local rule, basically with the secret police and military force. Remember, these guys are creating a lot with their strong military force. They're creating that essence of terror and fear where guys will go along with it. He promised to end reparations, create jobs, defy the treaty, and rearm and rebuild the military. Basically, he said he was defying the Treaty of Versailles, which is what people were unhappy with in the first place. So he was going to try to do for Germany what he felt was best for Germany. He started public work programs, and he started state control of labor and businesses. So he sort of took over everything, but he also started rearming the military. Children at schools were taught racist ideology. They were taught about the blonde-haired, blue-eyed guys, which is your prototypical or your ideal man and woman. Women, profession of mother, educate children in Nazi ideas. He wanted to purify the German culture. Schools teaching Nazi views and books were burned. This was a bad time period. If you see that in Indiana Jones, where they just out there just burning books. He looked for a scapegoat for Germany's problems, and these guys were the Jewish people. The goal was to drive out all the Jews and get rid of the Jews and make Germany a pure state full of Aryans in his eyes. So the Nuremberg laws restricted the rights of the Jews, and they had to wear a yellow star. Star of David. Many of these guys fled. One of them was Albert Einstein. And these guys basically listened to what he said. He was a great orator. I do not agree with his ideals, but he was a very powerful speaker that was able to get people behind him in a bad situation. He preyed on the weak and got them to go along with his own ideals. Fascism and Nazism and communism. This right here is how you're going to be able to compare the two types of government. I will tell you to look above at the PowerPoint. Look at the PowerPoint and take a little bit of time. Write down some notes because there are some key facts and they do like you guys to know the differences in government, such as a supreme leader with Nazism and the political aspects of this is a one-party rule versus a supreme leader, but you're basically based upon by the ideals of the people. And that is going to be it today. I hope you enjoyed this. It's been fun. I enjoyed being a stormtrooper. That hurt my nose, and I hope this helps you guys out. Thank you, and I'll see you on the next one.